This is Fat to Fierce. Welcome to the Confidence Chronicles. I'm your host, Amy English. Join me on this empowering adventure towards a healthier relationship with food, body, and self, one delicious bite at a time. Hey there. Welcome to episode number 52 of the Confidence Chronicles. I'm your host, Amy English. We're going to kick off this episode talking about cravings, and there's a reason why. So first of all, cravings, food. We're talking about food cravings, okay? Let me be specific. This is about food cravings, and here's the thing. Food cravings can tend to be something that people often think they have no control over. And this used to be me. Cravings are something I struggled with for a very long time. And every once in a while, they still pop up. Now, I can share it with you in doing this work, because here's the deal, okay? Yes, I'm an emotional eating coach. No, I did not plan to become an emotional eating coach, okay? It just kind of happened organically as I was healing my own relationship with food, right? Because, at one point in my life, I realized I don't need another diet. I don't need anyone else telling me what I should or should be eating, right? I need to figure out how to overcome this habit of stress eating, of emotional eating, of thinking that food is in charge. And so that's really what kind of set the wheels in motion and put me on this path to figure out how to heal my relationship with food. And it was only because of that, I started sharing this on social media. I started talking about my journey on Facebook. And it all started when I started my blog, really. And if you go to my website at amyenglishcc.com, you can see all the blog posts. I think the first one was from either 2016 or 2017. And you can read through the stories of how I overcame emotional eating like in real time back in the day. And food cravings were something that I really struggled with. And so I'm all over the place here. Hold on. Let's bring it in. Let's all take a collective deep breath together. Okay. So what I was saying is I didn't intend to become an emotional eating coach, but as I was talking about all of this and sharing the blog, I started realizing, wow, I'm not alone. Other people are struggling with emotional eating. People started reaching out to me on Facebook, sending me private messages, asking if I could help them because they also struggle with food, right? So it was only through me sharing my story that this all kind of fell into place where I became an emotional eating coach. And I will just share this. I struggled for years trying to figure out my specialty, my niche in this area. Because for a long time, I thought, well, I need to be a weight loss coach because everybody wants to lose weight. And it was only through the course of doing that, being a weight loss coach, that I realized there's nothing about this that I like. I don't want to be part of the weight loss community, okay? And nothing against the weight loss community. That's not how I wanted to help people, right? I understand that weight loss is a very important goal that people want to work on. I work on it myself, but that wasn't the specific area that I wanted to focus on. I wanted to help people take back their power from food. I wanted, so it works in conjunction with weight loss because people who are on a weight loss journey a lot of times, many times, more often than I think anyone realizes, a lot of times they are struggling with food. They're struggling with cravings. They feel like, they have no power over food. They have no control over their cravings. They're stress eaters. I hear this all the time. I'm just a stress eater. Like, no, you're not. It's not part of your identity. You have a habit of stress eating. You're not a stress eater. You're you. You've probably heard me say that on this podcast before. Stress eating is a habit. It's a habit of emotional eating, right? And in order to change that, see, I think the thing is, and I know this was me for a long time. I thought that stress eating was something I had to learn to live with and something that I had to work around. Like I thought that, no matter what weight loss program I was doing or what diet I was following, I was fine while I was following it. It's just once it ended, all the old habits would come back. And I really felt like this is just something I was going to have to work around, right? Or find a way to work with. It was like this obstacle. Stress eating was this obstacle that kept getting in my way. And a lot of the stress eating started with a craving, okay? A really strong craving, a really strong urge for a specific type of food. And a lot of times those cravings would start when I was having a bad day, when work was really stressful, when things seemingly went sideways, when I was just too tired, when I was feeling bored, okay? You may see the link here, right? These are all emotional triggers to get food. And a lot of it would start with this craving. So a lot of like when we talk about the food noise or the food voices, right? It's like get a certain piece of food. Like you deserve a cookie. Oh, that, those chips are in the pantry or the ice cream's in the freezer or last night's leftovers are in the fridge, right? So that's kind of where it starts from. And a lot of times that can also be like a craving. Ooh, really just want something sweet or want something savory, something salty, right? These are all thoughts. Cravings, food cravings are really intense thoughts about typically a certain specific type of food, okay? And the thing is, while I know a lot of people believe that this is just something they do and they have to live with it and they just have no control. And this is where a lot of the medications out there are helping people because it's turning those voices off. It's blocking the cravings. So I totally get how it's helpful. Absolutely. But what I want to share and what we're going to talk about in this episode today is how you can overcome a craving on your own. Because listen, I learned how to do this several years ago without medication. And I used to get really intense cravings, especially for sweets, chocolate, cake, buttercream icing, ice cream, all that stuff. Those were my go-to foods. And I would get really intense cravings, meaning it would seem out of like nowhere. This thought about, ooh, a piece of cake. I could go for a piece of cake, or, oh, that sounds good. Like I could really go for something sweet, right? It would just like infiltrate and it would not go away until I ate the food, right? So a lot of times I would just say, oh, let me just get the food so I can stop this craving and satisfy this craving and then it'll go away. But that's not a really viable solution. At least it wasn't for me, because the next day, the next week, the next month, that same craving would surface. So I was in like this constantly having, let me just satisfy this craving so that it'll go away. But while I was doing that, I wasn't getting to the root of what that craving was. of what that craving was representing, of why that craving kept coming back. So here's what I'll say. If you're somebody who struggles with constant cravings, regular cravings, especially for very specific types of food, you're going to want to listen to this. And you're probably going to want to get a notebook or something to take some notes with, because I'm going to add, there's some questions I'm going to offer that can help you understand your craving better. Because once you start to understand your craving, your certain specific food cravings better, this is how you take back control. This is how you take your power back, and you realize that you're not, what am I trying to say here? You're not at the mercy of the craving, okay? I know it can feel like you're in a trance. It can almost feel like it's like a spell that's been cast over you. Like you have no power when that craving hits. You are just, it has taken over, and there is nothing you can do until you satisfy it. And we all know there's a plethora of ideas on how to combat cravings or how to distract from cravings. You know, chew gum, drink some water. Oh, maybe your body's deficient in this, or that. You know, have more of that and you won't get as many cravings. Not for nothing, that didn't work for me. So, what did work for me is what I'm going to explain to you today. What worked for me was understanding more about the cravings, which was absolutely linked to my relationship with food. Okay. And so while drinking water, chewing gum, filling different vitamin deficiencies, whatever, I'm not knocking it. Like I get that can be helpful. Absolutely. What worked for me and what I want to share today is that that stuff doesn't necessarily get to the root of the issue for everybody. Okay. Sure, it works for some people. That's fantastic. Didn't work for me. So this specific episode is going to be designed around understanding the cravings better so that you can get to the root of them and understand them better, to get to the root of them in order to really kind of stop them. Because when I think about how often I would get food cravings, it was almost daily at some points in my life. And now it's like so infrequent. But I did have a craving for buttercream last week, which I thought was really interesting. And no, I didn't give into it. I sat with it. I sat with the craving to understand it better. I'm going to share with you the steps that I took, okay, when this craving came up, to let it let it subside. It just kind of like, you notice it and it comes in and you start to question it and you get familiar with it. And then you're like, you realize what's happening. And it's like, okay. And then it just kind of goes. It goes away because you just start to realize that you do have control. And it's not the food talking, okay? Food is just food. Food can't talk. Food doesn't have power. And that is probably one of the earliest thoughts that I worked on for myself as I've been on this journey, was realizing that like food can't have power over me. Food is just food, right? I'm the one in charge, not the food. Same goes for you. You're the one in charge. Food is just food. It's not a lie. I mean, it's not a person, right? Food is just food. You are in control. So I guess we'll kind of kick off with that. And if you don't believe that right now, that's okay. All right. There's a time in my life when I didn't believe that. I truly thought food was in control. So if that feels like outlandish and you are like really far away from believing the fact that you are in control, I just want you to know it's okay. This takes time. It takes time and it takes practice. It's as simple as that. And I know we are all kind of hooked into this idea of instant gratification, instant change. We want the change now. We don't want to wait. But when it comes to overcoming food habits and understanding cravings better, this work does take time and it does take patience, and it absolutely 100% takes practice. Okay. That's really important to know. So, what I'm going to share with you today is something that you're going to want to practice. You're going to want to practice it every time a craving comes, every time a craving hits. And there are times you're going to forget, and there are times you're not going to think about it. And there are times that you're going to give into the craving before you have a chance to pause and do this. And that's okay. All right. This isn't like a one and done thing. This is something that's going to take some time. I mean, I don't know specifically how long it took for me to take my power back from cravings and to realize I was in control, but I can assure you it was an effort. It was an effort. It took time and it took continuous practice, right? Even the times that I would forget, I would be like, okay, like I forgot that time. We'll catch it next time. All right. We don't beat ourselves up. We don't criticize ourselves. We don't judge ourselves for missing an opportunity to practice. Okay. That shit is never helpful. Okay. We just realize that maybe we forgot. We'll catch it next time. It's not a problem. Here's the other thing that I want to just share before I dive into this is like, chances are these food cravings have been around for a really long time. Like, seriously, think about it. Think about how long you've been faced with really intense food cravings. Okay. Maybe it's been years. Maybe this has been happening for a really long time. It would make sense then that it's just not going to be snap of a finger for it to go away and stop, right? It's going to take some time to it's like you're working a whole other muscle, okay? You're working a whole other muscle, especially when these cravings have kind of gone unregulated, unchecked, unnoticed, like just they've kind of like been having a mind of their own, so to speak, for so long without being questioned and checked. Yeah, it's going to take some time to get into a new groove, okay, and work that other muscle where you're going to start to question these and really get more familiar with them. And there may even be a part of you that is like, hell no, and that's okay too. But let's just see what happens, okay? Are you willing to experiment? Because if you're willing to experiment, you're in the right place. All right. So here's what I'm going to share. I'm going to walk you through this. I do have some notes. I'm going to walk you through this. I invite you to take some notes if it's helpful. And of course, make sure if you're going to take notes or if you're going to, follow any of the prompts I offer here, that you're, in a space where you're able to do that, not while you're driving or anything like that. Okay. Safety first, always. All right. You can always, save this and come back to it and listen to it at a time when you are in, a quiet space where you can sit comfortably and really kind of reflect and take notes. All right. So here we go. So sit comfortably, find a quiet space, sit comfortably, and just take some deep breaths. Okay. If you want, you can put your hand over your heart or sit in whatever way is comfortable for you. Breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. Hold it for 4 and exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6 or whatever you're able to do. Okay. So let's do this. Ready? You're going to breathe in through your nose for a count of 4. Hold it for 4. And then breathe out for a count of 6. Repeat that. Okay. Count to whatever feels good for you. Don't put a lot of extra pressure on yourself for this. Okay. If you can only breathe out for a count of 4, that's fine. Not a problem. Okay. Now, when you notice the craving, okay, when you notice the craving coming to your mind, this is where you want to catch it. Okay. You want to catch the craving, meaning you want to just notice, that you're craving a specific kind of food, whatever it is. Okay. Ooh, I have a hankering for X, whatever it is. Okay. This is where you just want to close your eyes, take that breath, and ask the question, what am I craving right now? Okay. And you want to be really specific when you ask this question. And if you have a journal handy or you have your phone or whatever you use to take notes, that's going to be helpful. You want to get really specific with the type of food that you're craving. So is it a sweet treat? Is it a salty snack? Is it crunchy? Is it soft? Is it smooth? What is it, right? So for example, if it was ice cream, it's cold, it's soft, it's smooth, right? It's sweet or it's fruity or whatever, right? You want to get really specific with what you're craving and you want to capture this information, okay? So whether you're saying it out loud to yourself or writing it down in a journal, we want to bring awareness to the description of the specific food that you're craving. So there's going to be a lot of clues in this information, okay? And then once you've captured that information, okay, so you've gotten specific on the type of food that you're craving, you want to shift the focus to your body, okay, to your vessel, to your physical form. And when you're noticing your body, you want to ask this question: where do you feel the craving in your body? Just notice, okay? If you're not used to feeling in your body, that's okay. Be patient with yourself, all right? It's okay. None of this is like, gonna break it, okay? If you're struggling with a specific area, it's fine. Even just capturing the awareness around the craving is perfect, okay? But if you can, just notice where in your body you're sensing the craving. Is it in your stomach? Is it in your chest? Is it in your mind? Is it in your head? Or is it somewhere else? Just notice whatever comes up for you, okay? You don't have to analyze it. You just want to notice whatever comes up. And then what does it feel like? Does it have a sensation? If you can feel this in your body, where do you feel it and what does it feel like? Maybe it's a tightness in the specific area. Maybe it's an emptiness, or maybe it's like a jittery sensation. Okay. So just notice, if you can, where you feel it and what it feels like. And really key here, this is important. You need to resist any judgment. Okay? So any judgment, any self-criticism, any judgment that wants to come in as you're doing this little exercise, you're just observing, okay? You can just remind the judgment that it can wait. Doesn't need to be here right now. We're just observing, okay? And then once you've recognized the specifics about the craving and what you're craving, where you're feeling it and what it feels like, here's another question. What emotion might be tied to this craving, to this feeling? What was happening right before you noticed this craving? What were you doing? What were you saying? What were you thinking about? What was happening right before the craving happened? Is there an emotion that could be tied to this craving? Maybe, maybe not, right? It could be stress, boredom, sadness, or something else, okay? And then if you're able to link the emotion to the craving, so it could be related to whatever was happening and you were feeling right before the craving hit, or just in the moment. What do you truly need right now? If it's not the food, okay, whatever you're feeling in this moment, what do you truly need? And this goes with that question that I've offered before, like, are you physically hungry? Yes or no? And if you're not physically hungry, okay, but you're noticing this craving for this specific food, What do you need right now? It might be comfort. It might be relaxation. It might be connection. It might be a break. It might be movement. Might be writing. Might be crying. Might be any of those things or something I didn't mention. Okay. What do you truly need right now? Because here's the thing. Typically, when these cravings strike, especially when they're connected to an emotion, it's just that we've gotten used to food serving what we need in the moment. It's kind of like an autopilot response. Just automatically go get the food when we're feeling stressed or when we're feeling bored. Or let's get a snack. Okay. When you stop, when you pause long enough to check in with these questions I'm sharing and really answer the question, what do I truly need right now? You can get a different answer besides the food. This is just opening it up to other options instead of always being in that automatic pilot response of getting food. Okay. That's what we're doing here. We're breaking up the pattern. We're breaking up the habit by raising awareness and asking some questions. This is really powerful stuff. Okay. And this is going to help you change your automatic response when it comes to cravings. Okay. So you identify what you truly need right now instead of the food. Okay. So again, maybe it is something comforting, some relaxation, or just taking a break or taking a rest, connecting with someone, talking with someone, writing out your feelings, listening to a song, something, right? What is it? And then when this is all happening, here's what's really important too, and this is where self-judgment is just never helpful. We want to redirect with some self-compassion, okay? And what that sounds like is this. It's okay to feel this way. Whatever emotion is tied to the craving, okay? It is okay to feel this way. It's even okay to have the craving, okay? I want to point that out because I think this is really important. So many times we get frustrated with ourselves for having these cravings. These cravings are just a way to communicate with us. It's just that food has kind of been the voice, so to speak, that's been talking all this time. Because food has been a go-to, that's why it's the thing that comes up most often. Okay. So when we judge that and when we're overly critical with ourselves about this happening, we miss the opportunity to explore it. All right. It's kind of like, of course, this is coming up. Of course, this is happening. Food has been a thing for a really long time. So it's no wonder that I automatically go to food. No matter, I automatically, like, these cravings come up, right? It's okay. It's okay to feel that. It's okay to have the craving. It's okay to be experiencing this right now. It's not a problem. In fact, we're working on understanding it better. And with that understanding that's what breaks up the pattern. Okay. So it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to feel the emotion that you're feeling, and it's okay to have the craving. All right. To notice the craving, to feel the craving. And then I'm allowed to take care of myself in ways that truly nourish me. Because I don't know about you, as someone who struggled with stress eating and other forms of emotional eating for like 30 years, I can tell you from my personal experience that stress eating and binge eating was not nourishing me. Okay. That was not nourishing my body. In fact, in many, many times, it was the opposite. Right. So I am allowed to take care of myself in ways that truly nourish me. What would feel better besides just giving into the craving or eating the food, right? Another powerful question. And then at that point, let me just boil it down a little bit. So we identify the craving, right? What am I craving right now? And be specific about that. Really describe it, be descriptive. understand the specific food you're craving. Tune into your body. Notice where you're feeling it and what it feels like. And then uncover the emotion. Okay. What feeling, what emotion could be tied to this craving? And what do you need in this moment to help with that? Right. And then we want to redirect with some self compassion. It's okay to feel this way. I'm allowed to take care of myself in ways that truly nourish me. And then at this point, you want to make a decision. You want to make a choice. Choose a supportive action to meet the deeper need. Okay. Now, here's what I want to say. This is important because I know, again, from personal experience, listen, I don't share with you anything that I haven't already experienced. Okay. This is all stuff that I've been through over the years. This isn't going to work every time. Okay. There are going to be times where you're going to be like, screw this, hand over the cookies, and nobody gets hurt. Okay. If and when that happens, we don't criticize, we don't judge. But the more you can practice these steps that we're talking about today, that's giving you an opportunity to pause. This is all the stuff that happens in the pause. Okay. And the more you can pause yourself to check in and ask and answer these questions and get curious with yourself. Okay. We're using curiosity here, big time. What's going to happen is you're going to have an opportunity to choose, to make a supportive choice, take a supportive action that meets the deeper need. And even in the times when you do choose the food, you do choose to eat, it's okay. You can also sit down and reflect on what happened and understand better why you made that choice. Again, without the judgment, with curiosity. As much as possible, while you're on this journey to heal your relationship with food, okay, and change your eating habits, it is so incredibly helpful to use curiosity, to lean into curiosity as opposed to judgment. Okay. That judgment and criticism is just never going to help. And it just kind of like keeps you operating in the same patterns. In order to change, you really want to start to get curious with yourself and understanding these better. Listen, I have talked to so many women over the years who have struggled with food and their body image for decades. Okay. These habits are not just going to necessarily go away. Okay. Again, everybody's different. Everybody's journey is different. But for a lot of us, myself included, these habits are going to continue even while we're working through them. And having some curiosity about that instead of judgment is going to go a long way. And it's going to help resolve this faster. Okay. I'm not saying it's fast, but it's going to be the more you can be curious as opposed to critical, the easier and the faster it's going to be to resolve this stuff. Okay. That's what I'll say. All right. So the supportive action that you can take if you are choosing it, right? Again, power of choice, power of making a conscious choice in the moment. Okay. Once you've done all this reflection and you're kind of at this crossroads of like, okay, I understand the food I'm craving. I understand what it feels like in my body. I understand the emotion that it's tied to. I understand that it's okay to feel this way. And now I'm going to make a choice. What do I want to do? I'm making a conscious choice in the moment. Am I going to choose the food or am I going to choose something else? And that something else could be going for a walk. I mean, some of the things I mentioned earlier, right? Engaging in some other activity. Maybe it's reading a couple pages of a book that you're reading. It's connecting with somebody, right? Journaling. Just taking a moment to do some deep breaths like we did earlier, right? It could be any of those things or something I haven't mentioned, right? The whole idea is that you're making a conscious choice. That alone is interrupting the pattern, the original habit. Okay. Making a conscious choice is interrupting the original habit that has kind of been on autopilot for however many years you've been struggling with food and intense cravings. Okay. And when the more you can start making that conscious choice, the more you're breaking that up, it's changing like in real time. Okay. This is how you take your power back from food. This is how you start to see and realize that you are in control, not the food, not the craving. Okay. Ooh, I get very passionate about this topic. All right. Here's the next part. This is additional reflection. Okay. After you've made your choice, again, whatever choice that is, and in some cases, I'll say it again. I know I'm being a little repetitive today. It's okay. In some cases, you might decide to eat the food anyway. You've made that conscious choice. It's fine. Okay. Or you've chosen something else to do, right? Gone for a walk or phoned a friend or texted a friend or whatever. You want to explore a little bit further. This is where your journal is going to come in handy, okay? So much power in a journal. If you remember episode 51, I talked about the temper tantrum on paper, okay? I love my journal. You want to just kind of reflect on this entire experience, these steps that we've gone over today, okay? What did you discover during the exercise? How did you feel before, during, and after? What's different? Did you notice any differences? Did you notice any changes? And then what do you want to do the next time you have a craving? Do you want to repeat this process? Do you want to do something else? What comes up for you? Trust your ideas, okay? You're powerful. Notice what comes up. Just experiment, okay? Again, curiosity. Experiment with your idea. Try this again. See what happens. If it's helpful and it works, rinse and repeat. If it's not, try something else. Okay? Here's the thing. Very important. Final takeaway message. Cravings are messages, not enemies. Okay? I think that's really important to remember. Okay? And again, I can tell you for a long time, I really thought that cravings were enemies. They're not. See what the message is. Find out what it's telling you. They can offer insight into your needs and the chance to reclaim your power with food. All right. I hope this is helpful. I would love to hear from you. So if you want to send an email, amy@amyenglishcc.com. See you next week. Are you ready to take control of your eating, embrace your body, and boost your confidence? Then let's get fierce. Start your Fat to Fierce journey today. Go to amyenglishcc.com for more resources and to book your discovery call.